Hi, welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are all doing well. I know it's been a while since I posted a video, and this video is going to be a little bit different than my normal videos. So today's video, I am actually going to be bedazzling my motorcycle. And if you're wondering why I would want to do something like put crystals all over my motorcycle, I will tell you it's because I actually seen a video on TikTok and it was a Fiat that was covered in crystals. And I thought it looked amazing. So after doing a little bit of research, I found the person that did the did the Fiat, and it was the Crystal Ninja. So I got on her YouTube channel and I could see, she had videos of her doing it, and I thought, oh my gosh, I want to do that to my bike. So I decided to do it to my bike. I purchased all of the crystals through the Crystal Ninja, and I did buy some glue through her, and I also bought some glue through Amazon. So I had two different kinds of glue. And okay, so I'll talk about a little bit about what I did here. So to prep, if you're curious of, how I did this, for prepping, I cleaned the bike real good, and I scuffed up any of the areas that I was going to put crystals down with 150 grit soft. It was like a soft sandpaper. It was like a padded soft buffer type sandpaper. So that's what I used to scuff it up, and I just kind of gently scuffed up the paint, which, by the way, was the hardest thing I have ever done in my life. My brain rejected putting sandpaper to a painted fender, a painted motorcycle. Oh, it was so hard to make myself scratch up that motorcycle, but I did it. And I still don't like doing that. That was the worst part of the whole thing, was just scratching up the motorcycle. But anyway, it's covered in crystals now, so it's great. But so anyway, okay, so you scratch up the surface of the motorcycle, or the paint, wherever you're doing it, the metal, if you're doing it on metal, and then clean it with alcohol, just isopropyl, 91% isopropyl rubbing alcohol was what I used. And I used, of course, rags, lint-free rags, even though nothing's really lint-free. They were as lint-free as possible. So I also had like just kind of like a soft bristle brush that I used to kind of brush away any kind of lint that might have still been on there after I had wiped it with the rags. Because after I started putting crystals down, when I was wiping the inside of like the crystals and stuff, sometimes the little lint pieces would get stuck on the crystals, so it was easier to just brush them away because I couldn't have like little stray lint pieces sticking out of the crystals, you know what I mean? So the glue that I used for about probably like 98% of the bike, I used Loctite epoxy adhesive 0151, and I did use a couple of different kinds. Other than that, when I started, I decided I wanted to test out this thing on my gas cap first, because I had never done this before, and I wasn't really sure that I was going to know what I was doing, and if I was going to be able to do it well enough that I was going to be happy with it. Because I watched the lady from, the Crystal Ninja lady, she did an amazing job, but this is her job. This isn't something I've really ever done before. So I figured I'd start small with the gas cap, and if I could make the gas cap look good, then I would trust myself to put it on the rest of my bike. So I had crystals, but I didn't have any adhesive yet, because when I first bought my first batch of crystals through the Crystal Ninja, I didn't get the glue through her because I bought the epoxy, the 0151 on Amazon. And so I had crystals, but I didn't have any glue. So I went and I got a little thing of JB Weld. It was a quick set JB Weld. So it's set in 8 minutes time. That's all the time you really had to work with the epoxy. And that was way too fast for me. So there was no way I was going to be able to do any more parts than, that little gas cap like that. So I did that gas cap. I was very happy with the way the gas cap turned out. Didn't have any problems with any of the crystals falling off. As soon as it had cured, I think it took about 24 hours total for that to cure all the way through. I went ahead and I washed it. I might have waited 3 days actually, though, just to be safe. I can't remember. It was a long time ago now. But I washed it I used a toothbrush and I scrubbed it really good. I tried to pick stones out. I took rides on the motorcycle to make sure that it wouldn't knock any out, just the vibration, you know, because like I said, I had never done this before and I didn't know. I didn't know what to expect. I trusted that she did a good job and she knew what she was doing, but you know, I didn't know what I was doing. So anyway, after I decided that I could work with the gas cap, it turned out fine. I loved the way it turned out. It sparkled so much. I loved it. It was like, okay. So I went ahead and I ordered all the crystals that I thought I would need. So I got 2 different types of crystals. I went with the clear crystals, of course, and it's just a mix of different sizes and some shapes that were in there. But for the darker parts of the bike, I went with a mix of, I think it might have been a total of 6 different colors. I'll leave links in the description part of this video for everything that I used. I don't know if I said that already, but I will do that. So you can check out everything I used down there in the description part. But I bought about 5 or 6 different colors of different dark colored crystals, and I mixed those all together, and that's what I used for the dark areas. And of course, you know, I used the different shapes and stuff, the different sizes for the clear crystals. And of course, I used size 20. I think that it was 20 were the size of the crystals that I used to border everything, because I kind of did a little bit of a border around everything instead of just using the different shaped crystals and trying to make it circular. I just used that for like an outline, I guess would be a good way to say it. So the glue, the Loctite epoxy, or the Loctite 0151 epoxy adhesive that I used, that for the majority of the bike. It was very easy to work with. It dries clear. I did it a little thicker than I probably should have in some parts, because I kind of worried that, like on the air filter here on the curve where my knee might hit, I did a thicker base, so you can kind of see when you look at it really close, you can see the epoxy in there, but it does dry clear. And it was not necessary now that I've kind of gotten a feel for the crystals and stuff. It didn't really probably need to go on that thick, but this was a learning experience for me, so I'll know for the next time I do it. And the other glue that I also used was from Crystal Ninja, and it was APCG 500. And apparently, I believe that is the glue that Swarovski sells, or the glue that Swarovski uses. Not exactly 100% unsure on that, I can't remember. But I bought that through Crystal Ninja. Now, the reason I used the Loctite first was because I already had all my clear crystals, and I was going to go ahead and start that, and that came first. Now, I will say, as someone that had never done this before, I am very glad that I started with the 0151 from Loctite, because the stuff that comes from Crystal Ninja, which is also a great product, I'm not going to say it's a bad product, because it's not. It worked great too, but it was harder to work with. The Loctite goes on a little bit thicker. It's more of like a paste. And when you put the crystals down on an angle, like what you can see when I'm working on it, I didn't take any pieces off. So there's upside down. I'm putting them on upside down. I'm putting them on the side. They don't move around in the Loctite. You put them down, they stay there. Unless you move them yourself, they don't move. The other stuff, if you put it down and you put the crystals on the side, they slide. So if the gravity will take effect on that, and they do slide. So I had to start on the bottom when I used the other stuff. So for me, being someone that had never done it, had I started with that, I probably would have had a very hard time working with it. I didn't use it until I was almost done with the bike, because I had actually run out of the 0151, and I had like just a little bit left to do. So it's like, well, I'll just use this other stuff because it's just as good, right? And I just hadn't broken into it because I had been using my other stuff. But I will say it was harder to work with. But since I had already pretty much done my whole motorcycle, it wasn't terrible. But had I started with that stuff, oh my gosh, I probably would have thought that I couldn't do it. I would have never been able to do it. So you definitely don't want to use the CG 500 unless you're working on a flat surface where everything's flat and you don't have to worry about things moving around, or after you've kind of had a little bit of experience working with this stuff in general. And as far as like the smell of the stuff, I worked in an open shed. I'm in my shed that I keep my motorcycle in. I have the door open, so I was kind of always in an open area. I will say that the Loctite has practically no smell. I mean, a very little smell, nothing at all really. I mean, I would use it in the house and I would not use it in the house, but I feel like if I did use it in the house, you wouldn't be able to smell it. The other stuff has a little bit more of a strong odor, so you can definitely smell it. I noticed when I was mixing it, it was a very strong odor. And of course, I was outside. I didn't wear a mask. Had I done my whole bike in that one, I may have thought about putting a mask on with that one just because it was just a stronger odor, which is, I know, probably silly because even though the other one didn't smell that much, it's probably pretty close to the same chemicals you're breathing in. Just one isn't as noticeably smellable. But anyway, that's, I think, about all I really have to say about the glues. And I did use the Crystal Ninja crystals, and they are called Kira crystals. Swarovskis were a little bit too expensive for me. I did look into Swarovskis, but honestly, when I got the Kiras in, I had Swarovskis here already because I've used them for other things in my art. I had some art pieces that I put little crystals in, but anyway, so I had Swarovskis here, and I got the ones from Crystal Ninja, and I could put the clear ones next to each other, and really, honestly, you couldn't tell the difference between the two. The only thing that was noticeably different about them is the cut. The cut of the two are a little bit different, but they are just as sparkly as Swarovski crystals are. I mean, really, I even put some Swarovski crystals into the mix that I used to, see if like anybody could like pick it out of the crowd, but you can't pick them out. You can't tell the difference, honestly. But the price difference is just crazy. I mean, like I said, they look beautiful. They are just as sparkly as the Swarovskis are. But had I bought them through Swarovski, it probably would have been almost 4 times as much as what I paid with the Crystal Ninja. So yeah, I am pretty happy about that too. So as far as the cure time on the Loctite, you have an hour time to work with it. Like that's why I'm doing these small spots. So I'm only putting down about what it takes me per hour to place crystals. So that's why each section you can see it's just little sections at a time. And I will say I got faster towards the end. When I first started, I was so slow. It took me so long to do that first fender. I have a total of 210 hours in it right now. When I did the first batch, I didn't do my side covers, and I did decide to go back and do my side covers. So you'll see I actually have those done in this video. But when you see the video at the end where I'm washing my bike, you'll see those covers aren't done. That's because I just haven't done another video washing my bike since I put those on. So yeah, I did decide to go back and do the side covers. There are a couple of things I still want to do. I want to do the mirrors. I want to do the wheels. I'm not going to do a full bling like I did, just like accents, kind of like I did around the emblems. I didn't do the emblems in crystal because I really like that contrast of having to be able to still see the emblems. I just like the way it looks together. So that's why I decided to just kind of go around the emblems and keep the actual art that it came on the motorcycle. So you can see right here is where I start using the stuff from the Crystal Ninja. This was like the small parts that I just had left to do. So I went ahead and I was using that stuff. And you can see how much clearer it is. And it's a lot wetter. So that's why the things kind of slide. So you can see I'm not really trying to work too much from the tops. I'm only stacking on top of each other for the most part, because you can see sometimes I do put, and you'll see they kind of slide down a little bit. So yeah, it was a little bit harder to work with, but like I said, by the time I got to this point anyway, I had pretty much probably about 90% of the bike done. So it was it was tolerable. I could do it. I wouldn't have been able to do it in the beginning. And the tool that I'm using is the Crystal Katana, which I also got through the Crystal Ninja. And that lasted the whole bike. I only used the one for the whole bike, and also the, you know, part that I finished and added on to. So yeah, that thing was amazing. It probably, I did wear it down a little bit, but I probably wouldn't have worn it down so much had I known what I was doing. I mean, I was kind of heavy-handed with it, so I wore it down a bit, but it lasted the whole bike. I still have it. I'll use it to finish the bike off. And in case you're curious, because I didn't mention what kind of motorcycle I have, it is a 2019 Harley Davidson Sportster, and it's a 48 Special. So this is a bike that I got from the factory, from the dealership, whatever. It's stock bike. It did get backed into once when I was at work, so it had, the rear fender had been replaced and the exhaust had been replaced once, so it's not exactly like it was from the factory, because from the factory there's actually black exhaust on the bike, but I had them go ahead and replace it with chrome when it had been hit because I like the chrome better. And so it's not 100% stock from the factory like it was, but for the most part it was. And that the paint that came on it, the emblems, that's how it came. Everything came that way. A lot of people think that this is an older bike because of the paint job that's on it. It's not an older bike. It's only 3 years old. 2019 was when I bought it. So, or actually it was September of 2018 or October of 2018, but it's actually a 2019 model. It's just supposed to have that vintage type style, I guess, paint job on it. But yeah, so that's how it came from the shop. And I will say that this has forever ruined paint for me, because I will never be happy with another motorcycle unless it's covered in crystals. I have never seen something so sparkly. I had a 2013, I think it was, Breakout from Harley Davidson, and it was a metal coat, or metal flake coat that it had. It was called Hard Candy Custom Chrome was the name of the paint, and it was a black paint with silver metal flake over it, and that was the sparkliest bike I ever had from the factory, and I loved that paint. But let me tell you what, it does not compare to rhinestones at all. And yeah, I can say I will never be as happy with paint as I am with this. Okay, so we're getting close to the end of the video, and I wanted to mention one more thing about the tool that I used, which was the Crystal Katana. I did notice that the cooler that the katana was, the easier it was to work with. As it started to get hotter throughout the day, or like one time I accidentally left it sitting on the plate in the sun while I was mixing my Loctite together, mixing the two-part epoxy adhesive together, and when I grabbed it, it was warm, and I noticed that it really had a hard time letting go of the crystals. So the cooler it was, I mean, it grabbed fine, but it was the letting go part. When I put it down on the adhesive, sometimes I'd really kind of have to roll the katana to let it go, whereas the cooler it was, it would just let go as soon as I put it in the adhesive. So I will say that was one thing that I did notice. It does work better in cooler temperatures than warmer temperatures. And that's about it that I can really think of. If you have any questions, if there's something you're wondering that I didn't talk about, you can of course leave a comment down or a question down in the comment section, and I'll try to answer it for you. If you're curious about the timeline, I started this at the end of February, like it was like February 28th or something when I started it, and I finished it around March 27th, I think. I can't remember now, but it took me about a month to do it. I worked on it every day, usually the whole day. Some days I had to go do things. I will say that I haven't lost a single crystal. Since I've finished it completely, I've been about 500 miles on the bike, and I've been on some bumpy roads, and I have not lost a single one. I have washed it twice, no, 3 times since I have finished it as well, and there have been no issues like that. So they hold on good. In fact, I had one little crystal that when I was doing it, apparently it got kind of pushed up out of place and I didn't notice it until a few days later. And I really had to get some nippers and to get that out. I couldn't pull it out with my fingers. And yeah, so I was luckily able to fix that and make it not so noticeable. But if there's no getting these off, they stick on there crazy. I mean, like, really good. And the heat from the engine doesn't affect them. There's not any crystals on any parts that really get super hot, so you know, it's not like they would get that hot anyway. And in fact, one of the things that I noticed was the bike itself, like when you touch the crystals, they stay pretty cool, whereas the paint sitting out in the sun would get kind of hot to the touch, and that doesn't happen with the crystals. I guess maybe because they're glass. I'm not sure. They're reflective. I don't know. But yeah, I did think that that was kind of neat because they don't ever really get super hot, which the seat still gets really hot sitting in the sun, but not the gas tank and not the fenders anymore. Also, you know, it's sparkly, but it's not super blinding. Like, you know, I've been out in the full sun of the day and I can see the sparkle and it looks beautiful, but it's not blinding, and it's not blinding to anybody around me. In fact, some people still don't see me, even though I'm on a sparkly motorcycle. But yeah, some, you know, so it's not blinding like, you know, unbearable to look at. It's actually very pleasant to look at. So we're getting close to the end of the video here, and I want to thank you guys so much for watching. I am going to go ahead and throw a couple of videos on the end from my TikToks, actually, so you can see what the bike looks now that it's all done. Like I said, I still have a couple of things I want to do, but for the most part, it's pretty much done. I do want to do some clear crystals above this little spot that I'm doing here too, so I'm going to do that eventually, but I have to have a few days off to be able to get that done. Like, I have to have at least 2 days off in a row, so it has 1 day to sit and 1 day to do the crystals and 1 day to sit before I have to drive it to work. So, okay, thank you guys so much. I appreciate you sticking around and watching today's video. And to all my subscribers, thank you so much. I will be putting some art videos up soon since it is officially May 1st and I am doing mermaid this year. So, yay! All right, thanks guys. Talk to you later. Love ya. Bye. Okay, so I lied. I'm back. I forgot that I actually had some songs on those videos on my TikTok that if I brought over to YouTube here, I would probably get flagged for some copyright infringements. So this is just the video with no sound instead. I mean, if you're on TikTok, you can always see the videos over there. But yeah, so here's the bike after it's pretty much done. Here it is completely done for now. And in the daylight, sparkly. In the nighttime with the light on, sparkly. And here is a quick video. Well, it's kind of a long-ish video of me washing the bike. A lot of people were kind of curious if it would be harder to wash the bike since it had crystals all over it, but actually it's much easier to wash. And like, I always worried about scratching the paint. That was like a big worry whenever I would take care of any of my motorcycles, because I didn't want scratched paint. So you really have to be careful with your paint. You don't have to be as careful with the crystals. They're pretty tough. They are pretty tough, and I wouldn't worry about scratching them. So yeah, it's much easier actually to clean the bike than it was before. So, and here it is, getting sprayed off with the hose. I mean, I don't have a pressure washer or anything, but none of them came off when I sprayed it with the hose either. So yeah, it was mission accomplished. And there's the pretty rainbow, and yep, that's it. So drying it off here, and of course I started up. You can't hear that though. I'm pretty sure I started up and let it run, and it's not very it doesn't really shake a lot. It's kind of tame for a Harley, I guess. It doesn't shake much. So there it is, turned on. You can see the lights on. The headlight shakes more than anything else. Alright guys, thanks again for watching. Talk to you later. I hope you all have a great morning, night, or day, wherever you are, whatever time you're watching. Alright, bye.